Hello everybody, it's Ross from Command Prompt Gaming coming at you with a update on 2023 and we're going to do an update for what's coming in the following year, 2024. And last year we did like a little roundup of all the videos that I made in the previous year, and it went over pretty well, and I think I want to do that again. So but first, I know a lot of you don't really care about all that stuff, you just want to see the reviews and the videos, so I'll let you know what's going on with the channel, where we're going in the future, what I want to do, and then we'll get into the roundup. So first of all, I have been tossing around in my head the idea of opening up a Patreon, but I know I feel so icky in my head about it already. I hate asking for help with stuff like that. But the way I wanted to do it is after I reach 10,000 subscribers, which we're pretty close, and hopefully it'll happen within, the first couple months of January, or the first couple months of 2024. And then after that happens, I want to ask you guys about it specifically. I'll put up a poll on the community or whatever, because I don't want to do it if nobody's going to care. Like, not to say, oh, I won't get any money, but I don't want to put the effort in if it's not going to be, received well, when that effort could go into other videos. I think that makes the most sense. But I'm also hopelessly ignorant whenever it comes to Patreon and like this kind of stuff. Like I've never ran one. I don't know what goes into it. So I'm waiting until 10,000 subscribers, and then I will make the decision. I'll put out that poll and we'll see how you guys react to it. But what the Patreon would include would be, I want to make a part of it free. So no matter how much or how little you pay, you can always still participate in this stuff. And if you want to support me monetarily, then that is optional. I don't want that to be a requirement, But what the Patreon would do is it would give you access to a Discord server that I would make, and I would love to do game nights specifically. Like, I would love to have game nights where we would play Halo Infinite custom games, or there's this new game, there's this new VR cross PC game that I've got, and I've been playing it with my friends and my family, and it's so much fun. It's called Davigo, and one person's in VR and everybody else is on mouse and keyboard or controller, and the person in VR is a giant, and they have to throw things at the people in PC, and it's a lot of fun, and I would love to have those lobbies with you guys, and I would love to play against you. I would love to be a knight. If any of you guys out there have VR headsets and you'd want to play it, I'd be more than happy to shoot you in the face with a rocket, you know what I'm saying? And who's to say that we can't even do some cringy Fortnite custom game nights, or any game? I'm not limiting it to just these three. Any kind of custom games that you guys want, this is what the Discord would be for. I would want your opinion and what you guys think would be fun, because I'm open to all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't mind stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit whenever it comes to multiplayer stuff, and I would love to spend and build this community a little faster and a little more, strongly, if that's a real way to put it. I don't think it is. But on the actual benefit side of the Patreon, I guess if you do pay for it, you would get more benefits. Like, I want to have some perks. Like, I know obviously I would make ad-free versions of all my videos. I would make uncensored versions to where, I put the silly little censors over swear words and stuff like that, because it's really stupid. It's because my parents watch some of the videos. If anybody's watching from the family, hey, what's going on? Thanks for watching. For more important topics, I would want to do polls, like to where, the ones that are on the YouTube community, I'm going to keep those because, I'm probably still going to have the biggest audience on YouTube. But for more, directions of the channel stuff, I would definitely ask the supporters first before anybody else. And I think that would be a good way to do that. And on the topic of multiplayer, again, like, if I ever needed help gathering footage for a game that maybe has a dead player base, I would honestly love to have you guys help me with that. Like, obviously you don't have to, but like, if you want to jump in and help me capture some multiplayer footage, I would be eternally grateful, and I think it could be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's where I'm looking at it for the Patreon. But as far as content goes, I just put out, depending on how quickly this goes up, I'm recording this on Friday, December 29th, 2 days before New Year. So I am rendering the Bone Lab modded level video in the background right here while I'm recording this. And so that'll go up hopefully within the next day or two. And then I'm going to try to quickly get this video out so it can be kind of like a New Year's Eve, New Year's whatever video, just before the new year. But if it goes up a little later, who cares? It's whatever. For the next year, after this Bone Lab video goes up, I think I'm going to jump into that Astral Chain video, so I can give that a really good look over. I was trying to look up some like emulator stuff to see if I could get it running at 60 frames per second and like a little bit nicer than just on the Switch version. Not that the Switch version is bad, but it's not great. But I saw that the 60 frames per second mod, it causes delays, and it makes like activating special moves and stuff like that really tight because the game operates under the frame rate that it has, and it just makes it not what the game is. So like if I were to review the game like that, I wouldn't be reviewing Astral Chain, if you know what I mean. And another thing about videos moving forward, specifically the things that I look at. So it started earlier this year, whenever my wife Kelly went back to school, but a lot of our money has been extremely tight, and I haven't been able to purchase as many new game releases as I would like. You know, like this past year, I looked at all kinds of new games whenever they release, like, you know, Hogwarts Legacy, Spider-Man, a whole bunch of them. We'll talk about them in just a minute. But like what I'm saying is, I don't have the money to put down, you know, $70 every other week for a new game. Not to say that 2024 is going to be more stacked than 2023, because this year was stacked, but it remains, whenever it comes to this coming year, there probably aren't going to be any new release, or as many new release videos as they were the past couple years, because I just don't have the money. So if you were if you were watching this channel specifically for me to like do the skill up or the IGN thing of like me reviewing games as soon as they come out, or pretty soon after, so you can know whether or not to buy it because of what I think, I appreciate that so endlessly. I'm glad you trust me with that, but I probably won't be able to keep that up. I'm still going to be making a lot of videos, but it'll be more from my backlog and things that I've been wanting to play. I might even play some retro games. I haven't done that in like 3 years, and probably some indie games too. I'm sorry if that kind of sours the channel for you a little bit, but I can't help that. What I am going to complain about, though, is the retrospective that I was going to do this past year it wasn't supposed to be the Xenoclash retrospective. I'm very happy with how that came out, even though I got one little thing wrong at the end of the video. Clash Artifacts of Chaos is a prequel. It's not a sequel to Clash 1 and 2. It's a prequel. Thank you to, I think it was Edmundo who replied to me on Twitter. Thank you very much for that, sir. Also, thank you so much for watching my stupid video. But no, the retrospective I was going to do this year was Jackie Chan, Jackie Chan Adventures, the animated series from long ago. I was watching, I've had this plan for as long as I can remember. I love that show, so I wanted to do it. But I haven't had a real way to watch it. And all of a sudden I find out it's on Amazon Prime. So I made it through like season 3, and then they locked it behind a paywall on Amazon Prime. So I had to stop in the middle of the year going through that show. I have so many notes from every episode. I summarized it from like 1 through 3, and then I just had to put the brakes on until once again I get more money and I can actually buy it. So, but yeah, I think that really does it for the updates this year. I really appreciate the growth that we've had. Like I say at the end of every video, and I know you hear it from every single YouTuber out there, because, you know, I'm sure they mean it too, but I am so grateful that you guys choose to subscribe and like the videos and watch the videos and comment and like just discuss with me about this stupid stuff that I make, because I love it so much, and it's obvious that you love it too, and it means the world to me. Like I hope to one day have this be my full-time job, so I can put way more effort than I do now into these videos. But until then, let's get to rounding up some YouTube. Ready? Let's go. All right, the first video this year was why Sekiro is too hard, examining the skill issue. That video, I love Sekiro so much. I love it very, very much, and I wanted to make a video on it, but I did not expect it to be the second most successful video on the channel by a considerable margin, behind Snakewood, which I also didn't expect that to be, you know, a crazy successful video. But now it is likely that either the Snakewood video or the Sekiro video is how you, dear viewer, the one watching right now, statistically found this channel. So for that, I will forever love this video. I also still think it's a pretty good video. I get a lot of comments from, like, every day that are like, "Hey, you took like 5 minutes to get to the point. Thought this video was about Sekiro. You're talking about Elden Ring." One, look at the thumbnail. 50% of it is the Elden Ring dude. And two, are you that, easily distracted that you can't sit still for 4 minutes for me to make my point and then jump into the remaining 16 minutes of the video? Like, what are you, a child? Next, I wanted to like Forspoken, but I didn't. Yeah, I didn't like Forspoken, which really sucks because Project Atheo, whenever it was revealed, was one of those games where I was like, oh my god, it looks so cool. Like magical parkour and then wizardry and all these like roots and trees and everything. It looks so cool, but then the game comes out and it's really, really boring. And not even the writing. The writing, I went over it. I think the writing wasn't bad. Like, it reflected Freya, I think, or Faye, or Frey, whatever her name was, as a character pretty well. It wasn't that bad of a story. It wasn't great, but it also wasn't horrible. But the gameplay and the combat especially, it was way too slippery, and it was just boring. It was just boring. Oh, then we did our It Takes Two video I did that with Kelly. That was a really, really fun video to do. It was about a week and a half of us. Like, I moved the couch that I'm sitting on, I moved it in front of my desk, and I would boot it up on my PC, and we would just play It Takes Two. Like, instead of we watch an episode of South Park every night together. But instead of doing that, we went and we played It Takes Two, and it was really, really good. It's a great game, but it was also like a really, really fun story that she was able to play and I was able to enjoy, because that game does a really good job of knowing who's probably going to have the controller. Like, they give the guy who is probably going to be the more experienced, gamer, they give him a lot of more mundane tasks, but they give the girl, I forget her name, but they give her the coolest abilities ever. Like, I was constantly jealous of all the stuff that Kelly got to do in that game, because I was like, oh, well, that looks really fun. Why can't I use that? But it was still a great game, and I will forever cherish that video because I love all the videos I get to do with Kelly. And also, my brother-in-law, Kendall, if you're watching, Kendall, thank you very much for that. He bought me that game, and that was really sweet. Next is the I didn't love Hogwarts Legacy, but you might, and God bless you if you did, because that game is the most basic action RPG open world Ubisoft game that you can find. And the only reason it did as well as it did, is because it's got Hogwarts in the title. Harry Potter, the IP will sell literal poo if you put it on there. And like, nothing against the developers. They did not have anything to do with that, but the controversy surrounding that game, not to say that, J.K. Rowling doesn't deserve it, because she's a pretty terrible human being by all measures, but the people working on that game in Avalanche, they knew what they were working on. They knew what IP they were developing for, and they didn't have a choice. It's their job to make that game, and they did a good job. But it also felt like a game that had decision by committee breathing down its back the entire, development cycle. Like, oh, let's not make this too complicated. Let's not make this too obtuse. Let's make this, good for a general audience. Therefore, it sits at a very comfortable 6.5 or 7 out of 10 for the rest of its days. Maybe they'll improve upon it in a sequel, but I honestly couldn't care less. But then we have a game that I do care about very, very much. I'm gonna go ahead and jump the gun. Hi-Fi Rush is my game of the year, my personal game of the year. It's not the best game that was released this year, but it is personally my favorite game that I played this year. It is so refreshing and fun to play. It was the only game this year that I went out of my way, well, like, kinda, to get all of like the extra, the secret extra endings and all the extra collectibles, because it was just an incredible game. The combat was so much fun. A rhythm Devil May Cry game. I never knew I needed that, but I love it so very much. I love the characters. I love the music. I use that music in a lot of videos now, and I just think it's one of the best games that I played this year. And of course, it looks incredible too. I love Hi-Fi Rush with all my heart. I think you need to play it immediately. Clash Artifacts of Chaos is interesting but flawed, yes, and I love that game so much so that I revisited it in the same year. So we're going to put a pause on that one, and we're going to move on to the next one, which is Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Is fun, but doesn't know when to end. That is very true, but I'm actually planning on making a follow-up video to that, because after we finished that game, Nick and I, we were like, oh man, there's DLC coming out for this game. And we actually liked it a lot. So, of course, I didn't have money, so he, being the best friend ever, he's my Pookie Bear, if you didn't know. He got me the season pass along with him, so we have been going through the DLC, and they have consistently added new mechanics, new weapons, and really, really hard new bosses that they're really fun to go through. We're actually, depending on what he's doing today, we might actually start the third DLC because it just came out. But no, Wolong as like the base game, it was really fun, and I loved it, and I'm looking forward to possibly making a follow-up video because it is continuously my favorite Team Ninja game. Sorry to all of the Neo 2 lovers. The RE4 remake! The RE4 remake is really good. No crap. Like, of course it is. Like, it's Resident Evil 4. They canceled the they didn't cancel. They restarted the project that the B team was doing, and they got their A team on it, and then they made it. So of course it's really, really good. Like, it improves upon the combat in a way that I don't think anybody really knew they needed. And it also doesn't replace the original game too. I think that's a really important distinction. The remake and the original are still masterpieces, but they're masterpieces alone from each other. Like each can exist in their own bubble, and they're both like inarguably, that's a really, really great game. That's a really great game. I love RE4 so much, and actually, speaking of Nick again, currently we are playing through Resident Evil 5. I might make a video on that because that game is ridiculous. And we'll probably play through Resident Evil 6 after that, and we're having a really good time. Someone killed Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, so the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, like Hi-Fi Rush, dropped out of nowhere and proceeded to be one of the coolest things that happened to the Sonic brand this year. A completely free, fan-made, not fan-made, but kind of fan-made, but organized by the social media team behind Sonic, a visual novel murder mystery that was incredibly cute and just really, really a joy to go through. It just gives you a spin on these characters that we haven't seen in a while, and it puts them in a different light. Like, we haven't seen Shadow in a mundane setting in a really long time, or maybe ever in official material, and it's so refreshing, and it's so cool, and the music was actually surprisingly, like, really good. Like, I loved the soundtrack in that game. I loved Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog to death. And then we have, this was a weird part of the year. So I did the super short video for Murder Sonic the Hedgehog, and then I also, the people behind Geno Kids, which is a really, really cool action game that you need to be excited for. They put out on Twitter, because I've been following the development for this game for a really long time. They put out, like, oh, we're looking for content creators to play the demo of the game and like make content about it. And I said, ooh, me, please. So I emailed them, and they emailed me back, and I got the demo, and I put out this video. And that if it's coming out this year, which I don't think it is one of my most anticipated games ever. If you like Devil May Cry or like Kingdom Hearts 2 style combat systems, you need to keep your eyes on Geno Kids. It is going to be sick. And that 5-minute video does not do it justice. It is so good. Like, I can't wait for that game. Stray Blade is good but quirky is another game that I received for free, and I was able to play it like 1 or 2 days before the official release date. And it's a weird one. It's not a bad game, but it has a lot of things that make it feel really sloppy. Like, it's a Souls-like, and I really enjoyed the aspects that weren't as Soulsy, like all the special powers that you got. There were cool interactions with the enemies. The combat system is like very parry-focused, but it feels really stiff. Like, the dodge isn't really a dodge. It's like another parry, except for you have to wait until the enemy's about to hit you, and then you dodge through their attacks. It was really weird. It wasn't a bad game, and I feel bad saying that it's not a bad game because I don't want to give people the wrong idea. You should just go watch the video, and if the footage itself doesn't speak to you, like the game doesn't look good, then don't bother with it. It's probably not worth the price tag, and I hate to say that because it has a lot of promise, and I hope they get the chance to make a sequel. But sequel-wise, we have Star Wars Jedi Survivor is pretty good, but could be better, and yeah, it really could be better. Performance-wise, this was probably the most disappointing launch of the year. Besides Hogwarts Legacy and its, really terrible frame rates and Hogsmeade or whatever, the entirety of Jedi Survivor was plagued. No matter what platform you got it on, I think PC got it worse. I got it on the PS5, and it was just bonkers how poorly it ran. And it's crazy because Fallen Order ran really badly at launch too, but you would think that they would have, improved upon the technology to where they would not let this happen, but I guess EA said the game needed to come out. Not that the game itself is bad, it's actually a pretty decent game, like as far as combat goes and like world design and stuff like that. World design maybe not so much, but combat wise they really improved upon the formula, and it feels way faster and tighter, with the air dash being the one move that I think saves that combat system. But I'm also a hopeless action game nut, so don't take my word as gospel. But yeah, Jedi Survivor, it was okay, but it could have been a lot better, and it sucks that it wasn't. Next we have Tears of the Kingdom made me a Zelda fan, and yeah, but kinda. Maybe that title's a little clickbaity, but I played Breath of the Wild back in 2018, and it was good. I didn't have a lot of time to spend with it, but the time I did spend it was really good. And then Tears of the Kingdom comes out, and I was able to spend as much time as I want on it, and it blew me away, and it was the most amazing Zelda game I've ever played, even though I've ever played like 2, and one of them was Breath of the Wild. The other was Ocarina. I didn't really like it. But Tears of the Kingdom is a lot of fun, and it like the systems itself are the most impressive thing, and the fact that it's running on the Nintendo Switch. Like, the fact that they were able to get all of these little intricacies and all this technology polished and working this well on a handheld system from 2017 is mind-blowing to me. Yeah, like, good lord, I love that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, we want more linear Zelda, but I mean, personally, I don't. I'm sorry for those of you who do want it, but me, more Tears of the Kingdom, please. Then we come to the heavy hitters of this year, the videos that I enjoyed making the most. The Doom Eternal video, which I shouldn't even have to say a whole lot. Doom Eternal, I'm kicking myself for haven't playing it sooner. I wish I had, but now that I have played it, it is one of my favorite games of all time. It is so fast, it is so brutal, it is so fun to just play. And if you ever wanted to play a competitive multiplayer shooter, but it's single player, Doom Eternal is the way to do it. And then we have Final Fantasy 16, and that's a combat system that I had a very good time breaking down and just gutting completely, and just talking about every little intricacy I could. And then the story as well, I really loved the story. I think Ben Starr, the man who plays Clive, is a gift to this world. He is one of the most bright voices in the games industry right now. He deserves all the love in the world, and I love him very much. And 16 is really good, and I will be getting it and probably making another video on it when it comes to PC. Atlas Fallen is okay, but better with a friend. Okay, so this video is pretty special to me because I sent an email to, I forget who, somebody at Deck 13, and I was not expecting to get a reply. I was just sending out emails trying to get any kind of pre-release code that I could, and I actually got one back for Atlas Fallen, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much. I was on vacation at the time, but I was on my phone emailing. I was like, oh my god, thank you so much. This is so incredible. But I really wanted to highlight the co-op aspects of this game. So is there any way you could send me another code for my player 2? And they did it. They sent me a second code for Nick. And I was so proud of both of us for being able to get through that game and for me to make a video on it in such a short time frame. But the thing is the game itself as it is, it's so disappointing because there are so many things about it that I like the breaking of the creature's arms or body parts. That sounds cool, but it just doesn't work in the game. It's like it's not in the game. It doesn't do anything. I love the shatter attacks. I love the weapons. I love the range of it being able to like hit multiple targets. But the essence system and all that stuff, it was really, it worked against itself, and it made the battles either go really well in one way or really poorly in your way. And I read a Steam post a little while ago that Deck 13 is not done with Atlas Fallen. They're actually looking to completely rebalance the game. So if they do that, then I think me and Nick would love to go back through and give that game a second shot, because like I said, we really liked a lot of things about it. So here's to hoping they do it well. Can Dark Souls work in VR? Grimlord Early Access? Yeah, pretty much it can. Grimlord is really cool. I really like this game, and there's not a whole lot to say about it after that video. Like, it's just Dark Souls, but in VR, and I think they did a really good job of adapting a combat system for Dark Souls in VR. The level design was actually really well done. It was difficult, but it followed that Souls progression of, as you get better at the game and learn the systems and, you know, level up your stats and stuff like that, it gets a lot easier and you become more capable and you feel like a god by the end of it. You get all these like powerful boss weapons, and oh my god, the crafting in that game, the weapon crafting system is easily the best part about Grimlord. I loved that. And I'm really looking forward to the next update. They showed like a screenshot of it, I think on Steam the other day, and it's going to be like a swamp area with all new enemies, and I'm so into that. I'm so ready for that. Grimlord, please send me more, like, send me a code. I would love to do anything for you and everything for you. Same thing with the swashbuckling Souls-like On Guard. On Guard was one of those that kind of came out of nowhere. It was advertised on Twitter a little bit, and then I found it, and then all of a sudden it came out, and I was quick enough to do a video on it towards its release window, and it ended up being one of my favorite games that I played this year. It's the interactivity with everything on the map, and it was the characters and the colorful, bouncy nature of everything. It was a really, really fun breath of fresh air, and it was actually pretty challenging whenever you go back and try to get all the little extra stuff, and it was just a lot of fun, and the small price tag really helped it be one of those games that you got a lot of bang for your buck, and I really appreciated that. Then we have the exhaustive review of the Final Horizon update. That was one of those that I really didn't expect it to be that long, but I think it really shows how much I say my style, but how much I've learned to keep talking whenever, coming from last year to this year, because like there was probably enough content in Sonic Frontiers for me to stretch that video out longer, but I didn't really need to do that with the Final Horizon update, because having to play as Knuckles and Amy and Tails, all that stuff, that was enough content on its own, and then all the story changes. I loved that third update. I think it made Sonic Frontiers one of the best Sonic games we've gotten in a long time, and that's really special because up until now we've gotten, you know, Forces and Lost World, two games that Lost World I think is one of the worst Sonic games. I'm sorry if you think otherwise, but I really, really don't like Lost World, and Forces is just boring incarnate. Like, it is just a bore to play. But Frontiers now, with the cyberspace stages, the way they are, the way that they have all these interesting ways to play the stages, and the combat got a revamp too. It was just so cool that they were able to go back through and after a year's time and make that game as good as it should have been to begin with. But I love Sonic Frontiers now, and the Final Horizon update's even better. Then we have the Xenoclash retrospective, and that was one of those games one of those videos that I didn't think I was going to make for a long time, because I say as much in the video. I bought Steam keys for Xenoclash and Xenoclash 2, and a Steam key for Nick to play Xenoclash 2 whenever Clash Artifacts of Chaos came out at the beginning of this year. So I was ready to do it eventually, but I didn't think it was going to be so soon. But I'm so glad that I did, because, you know, quality notwithstanding, the first two games are really interesting to go through. Like, and the story of seeing the brothers and how they progressed as game developers is so cool, because Xenoclash 1 was an interesting story. Like, you can tell that they were really inspired by all the things that Valve were doing at the time, and then they kind of came into their own with Xenoclash 2 and made a little more of a first-person action game, which was really interesting. Nobody else was doing that. And then years later, this year, they finally made Clash Artifacts of Chaos, which was a Soul game, or a Souls-like, and I didn't get the chance to put this in a video, but there's a trailer that, if you look in it, it was originally supposed to have co-op in it like the second game did. And I think I read interviews that it was supposed to be during the nighttime sections, whenever you're walking around as as Puppet Pseudo or whatever, but I don't know. I'm really happy with how that video came out. I just wish that I would have gotten every little fact right, but there's no way. There are so many things in all these videos that I'm like, oh my god, if I could have gone back, I would have changed this, or I would have, I'm so stupid, I didn't mention this, but it's gonna happen every single time. But I'm very happy with how that one came out. Same with the Spider-Man 2 video. Spider-Man 2 is one of my most divisive games this year. Like, I love things about it. I think it's a technical marvel. Like, there are things in that game that I'm so impressed by that, and everybody in Insomniac should be so proud of it. But what did they do to stealth? Why is stealth such an afterthought in that game? Whenever in the first game, and kind of in Miles, it was kind of going whenever Miles came around too, but it wasn't that bad. The line launcher in specific is what really shot that stealth system in the foot, and I hate it for that. And the combat too, like, I really enjoyed the suit abilities and all the different gadgets in the original game. It's good. It was really good. It's a very good game, but it's one of those that I'm just like, I don't know if I ever need to go back, because it did things so differently, and the story did not tickle any kind of fancy I had, and I just don't think, like, all I can see are the little flaws that pile up, and I can't see the things that I really like about it. Like, the base of the combat system is really good still, and the bones of the stealth system are really good still. The traversal is still really good, and they added a few new things to it. But it's the little things like crush attacks and the things about, like, the traversal system, like the wings kind of don't make it necessary to web swing anymore, and the story is completely just not a great thing to pay attention to. I hate that, but that's just how it is. That's Spider-Man 2. Hubris is beautiful but basic, and that's true. Hubris is one of those games that I mentioned it several times. Like, I've been wanting to look at it, but it was also one of those, like, I kind of figured it wasn't going to be anything too special. I'm glad I played it. I'm glad I experienced it, but as a VR game, it is outclassed by, like, almost any other VR game I've ever played, and I hate that because it had the potential to be something really cool. Like, the setting is cool, the gunplay isn't that bad, like, it's pretty unique as far as it goes, but it's outclassed by, like, every other VR game, which sucks, but what are you gonna do? And then finally, we have a video that's technically not out by the time I'm recording this, but it's my Bone Lab video, and I haven't seen the reception yet, so I hope you all like it. It was a pretty fun video to do, like I said. I say as much in the video, but I expected it to be a lot shorter, but then I got too curious and I started playing more levels and writing more of the script, and it just ballooned until now it's almost an hour long. So I had a lot of fun making it. I love doing VR videos. I'm gonna step away, for the next little while. I found this one video, or one game called Hell Sweeper VR. It looks like it's Doom and Devil May Cry in VR, which I'll be getting back to that eventually, but I want to take a step away from VR now. I think I've done enough VR videos for this year, and I want to go back to action games. So the next time we meet, I will hopefully be looking at Astral Chain, and also we are still working on the Baldur's Gate 3 video. That one is, taking forever, but we're in Act 3 now. We're in Act 3, almost at 200 hours, like I said it would be, and I am very much so looking forward to that. It is structured way differently than any video I've ever done, but I think that you guys are really going to appreciate it. Nick has been helping me write, and when the two of us are together, it's like a nuclear reaction in the brain for comedy. It's not a good analogy, but I appreciate you guys so much for sticking with me, and the few of you that really come back every time and watch every video and comment and interact with me. It makes my day every single day, and I can't explain to you how much I appreciate it, but me making these videos is about the best I've got. It's what I can do for you. So with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas season. I wanted to show you guys the shirt I got. I don't know, the camera might not pick it up, but it's a Virgil meme shirt, I like it a lot, and I think it's pretty funny, so whatever. But anyway, I appreciate you all so much for watching, so thanks for stopping by, and have a great day, and a Happy New Year.